Malaysian 370, contact Ho Chi Minh 120.9. Good night.
Good night, Malaysian 370.
Breaking news tonight, a Malaysia Airlines flight with 239 people on board, including 4 Americans, has gone missing.
Scripture, the Bhagavad Gita, Vishnu is trying to persuade the prince that he should do his duty, and to impress him takes on his multi-armed form and says, "Now I am become death, the destroyer of worlds."
Hello, everybody. Welcome to the live stream. Ashton Forbes live stream. Guys, I can tell you guys are ramped up. I haven't seen this many comments and people in the stream this early in a while. Really excited. So let's just get right into it, everybody. First of all, welcome. Everybody wants to know what is going on with the AARO, All Domain Anomaly Resolution Office. So, if you're not familiar with the AARO, because you're not a UFO weirdo or whatever else, the AARO are the ones that investigate these UFO or anomalous claims that people are seeing out there. Hello, Bernie. Nice to see you, brother. Make sure you guys are following my friend here, Crypto Alchemist. Good guy. So, a lot of people have given me crap about why did you report the case to the FBI? Why did you report the case to the AARO? And the answer is because you have to follow the approved methods for disseminating this information. You can't just assume that these people are corrupt and therefore you're not going to get a fair shake. You actually, you have to follow the path. And then if it turns out that that was the case, then we learn that's the case. But one thing I want to teach you guys right now is that you should not judge somebody preemptively. Never judge somebody preemptively. So, I just got off the phone literally minutes before this live stream with the AARO, with the lieutenant colonel that I spoke to in January. Same exact guy. What I can say right off the bat, no question, no doubt, they work with the AARO. I was able to confirm easily over the phone with them. They actually, they know like a lot of the, actually, no, what I'll say is this. A lot of the, the people that we don't like in the UFO community, the Jeremy Corbells, Lou Elizondos, that whole crew of people, they know this person in the AARO. They know them. I was pretty much told that. So they know them. There's no way that anybody can deny that I spoke to AARO. I spoke to AARO. AARO has the MH370 case 100%. No doubt. Okay. Take a swig, guys. Here we go. And real quick, guys, no anti-Semitism or racism in my comments or anything like that. Also, unless it's against, and actually it goes doubly so for the aliens. No racism against the other aliens either. You guys have been very good about that. I don't want to see any of that. We love all aliens. Exactly, guys. See, K-Stack has it figured out. Now, what do you guys want to know? I know what you guys want to know. You want to know, is Ashton going to dox and expose this AARO person? And the answer is I've decided I'm not going to dox them. Not going to say their name. The reason is there are a lot of weirdos in the UFO community, and I don't want to put them at risk. And the UFO community hates the AARO. So let's start with that. That doesn't mean we're not going to go through everything. We are going to go through everything here. We are still going to go through all of it. The first thing I want to do is go through the call that I just had with AARO. I think that's probably the most important place to start so that you guys can get on board with where this is at right now. I will say that, you know what? Let's just get this information. The most important part that you guys want to know, let's just get it out there right away. AARO has not given me my memorandum of record yet, but they are going to give it to me. I am getting the memorandum of record. The MH370 case will be immortalized in the government record with the AARO. Booyah. We will take that. That's a W. Okay. They have not been able to confirm or debunk any aspects of the videos right now. So it's not a victory and it's not a defeat. In fact, the guy laughed and joked with me when I said, like, as long as you don't come back to me and say that, like, it's some VFX from a 90s video game, then we're cool. He actually laughed when I said that, which made me think that he had seen some of the debunk attempt stuff out there. They're not doing like corridor crew debunk bullshit like that. They're not retards, okay? And I will also say this. I had a wonderful conversation with this man. I feel like I could actually be like really good friends with him. Just really nice guy. Didn't feel like I was being, what did Tim Gallaudet say? He said he was under an influence operation. Here's a story. I asked about that. I said, did you guys influence Tim Gallaudet? And he couldn't really say exactly, but, you know, because he can't say who exactly he's talking to. But long story short, no, they didn't influence Operation Tim Gallaudet into thinking it can't be aliens or some shit like that. The truth is, the AARO does not have any smoking gun proof of extraterrestrial technology. And what I told him was, look, if those MH370 videos are real, that's your smoking gun. And what the AARO is trying to do is they're trying to get concrete proof of the chain of custody of the videos. That's basically what they're trying to do. Now, if there's debunkers out there watching, you should start getting nervous. You should start getting nervous. And for the haters out there, you are going to have your haterades probably going to go to like 1,000. Because the way I think this is going to play out from my conversation is that I think the AARO is going to end up coming out and saying they don't have any way to resolve this case. This is going to end up being one of the unresolved cases, most likely. They're not going to be able to debunk it, but I also think they're not going to be able to prove it either. And the reason for that is that when I was speaking to them, they don't have nearly as much access as I expected. Now you say, Ashton, why do you say that? The lieutenant colonel that I spoke with, who was a former, I think it was deputy of operations or something like that. I can't remember, for the DIA. They said that they just learned last Wednesday that we have satellite capabilities or video satellite capabilities. So even the AARO member didn't even know that we have video satellite capabilities. Can you believe that? I went, how do you not know that? I was like, you just learned last Wednesday that we have video satellite capability? Yeah, really, chat. And I was like, doesn't that kind of like corroborate the videos? I was like, do you think someone went back in time in 2014 and made a satellite video when we just learned last week? How crazy is it that the AARO, somebody that worked with the DIA, they didn't even know we had video satellite capability? That's wild, right? No, I believe it. I mean, you guys can not believe it or believe it, but the guy I spoke to is extremely genuine. Extremely genuine. He could also be an extreme. Actually, he even told me, I asked about his counterintelligence. his counterintelligence was in human intelligence, not in like signals intelligence. I don't know if that matters, but so he might actually not know about our satellite capabilities. No, I mean, you guys can believe whatever you want, but I'll tell you, I spent 2 hours and 15 minutes and I grilled him. D-Voss, brother, I appreciate you as a follower. Have a great night, man. I'll talk to you later. I mean, I grilled him. Like, you know, I was, as like, you guys have seen me do interviews. You guys have seen me interview people. Like, I was like, look, man, like, we're hiding technology. I'll tell you exactly how we're hiding it. It's not the government. It's like the defense contractors are hiding it. And it was a good conversation because he's telling me like he's actually been to a lot of our military installations, including Wright-Patterson Air Force Base, which he says is a very interesting base. And you know, I told him too, the compartmentalization is beyond what people even realize. And the military is not even really in the know. They're really not even in the know in a lot of cases. Let's see. So AARO doesn't have nearly as much access as we think. They don't have as much access as we think. I was expecting them to easily be able to confirm the videos. And so basically what he told me is they were looking for really what it seems like he spent his time doing was looking to see if there were any drones in that area, if there was a public flight path of the drone in that area, patrolling that area. And what I told him is that this isn't a patrol. This drone is not patrolling around. There wasn't a drone randomly patrolling in the Nicobar Islands and then Malaysian Airlines comes burning by. Like, it's not and then flying underneath the wake of the plane or whatever. This isn't like just a public thing. This is an operation. And he went, oh, okay, that makes a lot more sense, blah, 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 you know. So spoke to him a little bit about that. And I told him, we just need, like, we don't need to prove there was a drone in the area. All we need to prove is, like, is that footage consistent with real footage, real military footage? If there are satellite videos that look just like this video that I'm about to share, then this video is proven real. People are still arguing with me right now that we don't have video like this. Still, 2024, almost 2025. If there's any other videos in the intelligence apparatus or military apparatus that look like this, if this is really Sibbers, it should be like 5 seconds. You should be able to tell if this is Sibbers or not. But he didn't even know that we had video surveillance. And I told him, like, isn't that kind of like strong evidence that this video is real? We didn't learn except for a week ago that we have satellite video. We didn't learn that till a week ago, but this video is 10 years old. So the question is, like, okay, you know, is this really the footage that we have hiding somewhere classified? That should be all that we need. That should prove it right there. And that's what I told him, is that we don't need to prove that, like, this specific drone was in that area. All we need to prove is that that's real footage, consistent with real military footage. If it's consistent with real military footage, it automatically rules out any random hoaxer. And that's what I told him. And I'm like, as an investigator, I don't need to know, like, the full chain of custody of the video to know the video is real. All I need to know is, like, do we really have thermal video of Predator drones? Because I've literally got debunkers, even just yesterday, we're still arguing that we don't have thermal video like this, and we don't have drones that have continuous zoom like this as well. It's like, so if we do, then okay, their video is real. No random bored student could ever possibly know this information. So I actually loved the conversation with him. I could have talked to him for another 3 hours, honestly. I was talking shit about the UFO community people as well. It was a great conversation. I enjoyed it. I was telling him about the plasma, that he should look into these EVOs and he should cross-reference, because I told him, like, look, this triangle formation we're seeing here, I was like, dude, this guy that just testified, Lou Elizondo, wrote a book and he's talking about a Predator drone being harassed by 3 orbs in a triangle formation. I'm like, are you guys looking into that? Like, oh, this was the best part, what I told him. I told him, I said, the guy Lou Elizondo who testified last week says there's a 23-minute video of a Predator drone being harassed by orbs. Can you find that video? He didn't even know about it. How is the AARO not like looking into some Predator drone video that Lou Elizondo wrote in his book? Lou Elizondo saw some UFO video, but the AARO can't find it. So this is the part where, like, guys, you have to realize they're just not as capable as we thought. The government's not as capable as we thought. Also, what I'll point out is he was very familiar with my work, more than I thought. Like, I'm not saying he's watched all my stuff, but he's seen enough. He knows that I'm a real investigator and not just some random kook off the street or whatever. And I could just tell based on how he was like commenting on some of my work and and how I've been handling the investigation. So yeah, I think it was a big win. Frankly, I think the conversation was a big win. There's more to talk about with regarding it, but that's the broad strokes of the conversation in general. The most likely way that this will play out, in my opinion, is that they're not going to find any hard evidence, but they're also not going to be able to debunk it either. And that's where I told him, because he was talking about, we talked a lot about smoking guns. Basically, AARO is trying to find something that can't be debunked in any way, shape, or form. Something that's just so good that you can't blame it on balloons. And what I told him was, I was like, dude, look at that. I was like, dude, look at the thermal video. I was like, when you looked at the thermal video, and he's familiar with it, I'm like, you can't say that these orbs are balloons or birds or anything. Like, if these videos are real, this is the smoking gun. There's no prosaic explanations for what the fuck these orbs are doing to this plane. There's no prosaic explanation for that. That's magical technology that the public is blissfully unaware of. That's not birds. Those aren't jets flying around the plane. That is, yeah, that requires some explanation. Okay. Let's see what we got. Oh, I don't mind the trolls being here, guys. It's great. We actually were making fun of the trolls as well because AARO gets trolled harder than I get trolled. Like, everybody hates the AARO. And I told him, like, no, they hate you, man. And I told him, I was like, even if you guys come out, it's going to be eagles. You know what? Maybe it's bald eagles, circular bald eagles. Thank you. Chad and Sherry have debunked the MH370 videos. Oh, and for the record, I did record the call. I didn't tell him I recorded it. So if he's watching, I apologize, but I recorded that phone call. There's no way in hell I wasn't recording that phone call. And I'm not going to release it or anything like that, but I have it for insurance if necessary. Let me just make sure that my app recorded it. Oh, no. Oh, no. Did it not record it? Oh, my God. Okay. Well, I might not have a recording of it, chat. Oh, man. Well, I probably shouldn't have said that before I checked to make sure I had the recording. It looks like I forgot to press the button right beforehand. Oh, I missed an extra button. I wasn't familiar with the app. I did a test run last night with it, and it was kind of confusing. Well, whatever. It's no big deal. I took some notes, and I'm not going to have to confirm that I spoke to him because, like, I already know who he is, and I've already confirmed exactly who he is. And I already know that the other UFO community people know who he is as well. If I were to say his name, they would know. So, oh, you know what? In fact, I'll prove it right now as well. There was a story that he told me that only I will know, and Jeremy Corbell and George Knapp will know, is that apparently he says that they got that the Weaponized podcast was talking shit about him. They didn't say his name, but they were talking about him when they were like ranting on AARO and their interaction with AARO. So I don't watch Weaponized, but he said that happened maybe relatively recently or a few months ago. I'm not sure. I do vaguely remember Jeremy Corbell and them freaking out on the AARO. So supposedly they were talking to him. Interesting. Yeah, I was talking to a Spook. He's a good guy though, man. I kind of want to like do what he does. It's kind of fun, man. Seems like a fun guy. He was real chill. What app was I using? I was using somebody gave me this recommendation, said use Tape-A-Call. I used the Tape-A-Call app on my phone. Did it really not work? This is so ridiculous. Oh, wait. Oh, it did work. Oh, I do have it. Oh, I like literally just had to press refresh. I thought I'd recorded it. Oh, never mind, chat. You know what? Can I show you guys this? Let me see. Yeah, I can show you this. There you go. 2 hours and 20 minutes and 40 seconds. I'm not going to play it because you'll hear his voice. Well, I do have it. Totally redeems himself. So all the haters that thought you had me, nah. No, I've got a recording. 2 hours and 20 minutes. I spoke to him on the phone, guys. So there you go. Okay, we do have that. Next thing, there's a lot of things. Like we had a great conversation. I mean, I spoke to that guy for 2 hours and 20 minutes. That's longer than I talk to most podcasters. So we talked about a lot of stuff. And one of the big things is this. The government is not nearly as capable as what the public thinks. I'm 99.9% sure it's not the government hiding the technology. It's the defense contractors and the energy companies. They're the ones hiding it. Now, they could be selling it to the military, but if they are, they're probably selling it under names that sound legit. Like you call it your plasma cannon or something like that, right? And it's classified. And then you find out it's magical orbs that can float around freely, stuff like that. And I totally agreed with him on that. And I said that the suppression is a lot different than how he perceived. Because he's like, oh, these people all come to me and they think that the government has this mass conspiracy. And he'd be like, if they did, it would be the biggest conspiracy ever. And I said, yeah, it kind of is. It kind of is. And I explained to him how it worked with the Atomic Secrecy Act and the Mansfield Amendment, and told him, hey, during the Mansfield Amendment, all this stuff got pushed to the defense contractors because gravity manipulation technology is not considered weapons, although it is 100% a weapon. And he said that like he doesn't, they don't quite have access to that stuff. They can't force themselves onto Lockheed Martin's labs. They can't do that to private labs because they're the government. But he can go to military bases and stuff like that, and they're not seeing that stuff in military bases. He also told me he had been to Wright-Patterson Air Force Base several times. And I think he also implied that he had seen stuff that is like, cool or what have you, but not, anything like aliens or anti-gravity. He had seen a lot of really cool stuff, but, because he was telling me like, hey, Wright-Patterson, really interesting place, blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, okay, cool. I'm like, yeah, I know about Bob Lazar, Area 51, whatever. I was like, but have you heard about Diego Garcia? Like, we actually were playing, like, I love this guy. I'm definitely not doxing him. I want to be his friend. I'm afraid to actually say, I'm going to accidentally say his name here. But, so he's like, hey, have you heard about Edwards Air Force Base or whatever, or Wright-Patterson? And I'm like, have you heard about Diego Garcia? I was like, have you looked into Diego Garcia? I was like, I literally think they flew the plane there and they hid it underground and ripped it, or pulled it apart, and then like threw the pieces in the water or whatever. And I explained to him why the debris is just too far away from the satellite pings. I explained to him how like the government must have covered up the pings, been involved in the cover up through Inmarsat. But if Inmarsat did it, then there's no way to find out because Inmarsat's a private company again. So you start to realize the United States government's not directly doing this. they are using the defense contractors and third-party companies as intermediaries to buffer and be the plausible deniability. Because Inmarsat can fake the pings, or somebody can hack into Inmarsat and fake the pings, and now they don't have to lie. They don't have to lie. They can be like, yeah, we didn't manipulate it, right? Oh, wow, the Mo, you've been on fire. Steak dinner time. Oh, wow, thank you very much. I'll go get a steak dinner after this. This live stream is probably only going to be like an hour and a half or so. We're gonna talk about the AARO thing, and then we're gonna look at some cold plasma stuff, and then we're gonna call it tonight a little bit early. We're not gonna do our normal 3-hour streams that we've been doing recently. Thank you, the Mo, brother. You've been awesome. I've seen you in the chat a lot. Appreciate it. So yeah, the government's not that capable. It's a little bit more complex because it's compartmentalization. And I told them this is basically, we learned from the Manhattan Project how to compartmentalize it. And the compartmentalizing, it's actually like easy. Compartmentalization is like the default state for this information. So it's really, really easy to have this information get compartmentalized in a way where the left hand doesn't know what the right hand's doing anymore. Now, let's criticize. Okay? So, okay, I've glazed AARO enough. I like the AARO guy. I think AARO is being honest. I think that AARO does not have smoking gun proof of flying saucers and what have you. And you say, Ashton, how can you believe that? How? Again, because the AARO guy did not even know that we had full motion video satellite. He didn't know that. Or to be perfectly clear, he said he had heard that we have that for the first time. So he could be playing coy and saying the first time it's been made publicly available. I don't know. But he implied like he had never heard of that before, that he had never heard of satellite video. And this is surprising to me. So this is, so basically they have nothing then? Exactly. So I told him, what about this immaculate constellation? This immaculate constellation thing, they're saying they've got hundreds, I was like, Schellenberger testified, sworn testimony to Congress, saying that we have hundreds or thousands of videos, including satellite videos and infrared, thermal, blah, blah, blah. I was like, where are those videos, man? And that's what he told me. He's like, we don't know where that is. What agency has that? Where is it? And I was like, oh, kind of makes sense. Oh, I missed a couple donations. NP, thank you very much, brother. Appreciate you. What are your thoughts on Stephen Greer? I just need to make some comments here so I don't forget to go back. Yeah, I like Stephen Greer. We'll watch the clip of Stephen Greer after. Actually, we watched it last stream. So, Stephen Greer, I think he's being genuine. I think he's saying what he believes. I used to think he was a grifter, actually. So before I got involved in this, I thought for sure Stephen Greer was going to end up being a grifter because I had seen all the CE5 stuff and it seemed too in the woo. Actually, several years ago, I tried the CE5 thing. I don't mean I downloaded an app or whatever. I just went like, oh, can I will a flying saucer? Like, because if I went outside and like meditated and a flying saucer flew down, I'd be like, holy shit, I can summon flying saucers. But no, of course that didn't happen. So I thought Stephen Greer was going to end up being this like grifter person. And then I find all these interviews he did with engineers, like a lot of interviews with engineers, with like Hal Poff, Paul Sizz, Don Phillips, tons of dudes. And these are engineers that, have worked in black projects. And I spoke to the AARO guy about this. I'm like, why aren't you guys talking to the engineers or whatever? He knew who Hal Poff was. Like, he's talked to him for sure, 100%. He actually evoked Hal Poff and Eric Davis's names to me because I started talking about the engineers. Basically, I kind of said, I didn't bring up Stephen Greer, but I kind of brought up this point of Stephen Greer has been interviewing these engineers. And he name dropped Hal Poff and Eric Davis. And I went, dude, those are the guys. I was like, Hal Poff is the godfather. I was like, I think he knows way more than even what he's letting on. And do you know how he responded? He responded to me and he was like, I have utmost respect for Hal Poff. Why would an AARO guy like have some weird respect for Hal Poff? A guy who's not like a physicist or anything. He's a counter intel guy. Hal Poff is like, I'm starting to worry that like Hal Poff's like the man pulling the strings behind the scenes. Like the dude is legit as can be. Now keep in mind, I also asked this. I asked the AARO guy if he was familiar with the DIRDs, the defense. I said, hey, are you familiar with the defense? Because I was like, that's awesome. You worked at the DIA. And I said, what do you think about the Defense Intelligence reference documents? And he goes, oh, you mean the DIRDs? And I was like, yep. I was like, I think those are the most important papers ever. I was like, I just kind of asked him. He's like, yeah, I think they're all like available, public, whatever, blah, blah, blah. So I just thought it was interesting that he knew about Hal Poff. I asked him about Salvatore Pais as well. And after I told him about the patents, then he was like, oh yeah, I'm kind of familiar. And I told him to watch my interview on Sunday because, I told him that one of the best ways to prove the videos are real is to prove the science is real, so that people can have a baseline to understand that teleportation is not magic. It's possible. So I spoke to him about Salvatore Pais, and I said, these are the people you should be getting to testify, because his patents are UFO patents. If Salvatore Pais' patents are real, then, the videos being real is a foregone conclusion. It means there's UFOs flying around. If we can manipulate gravity, we can manipulate gravity. Simple as. Okay, there's a couple more donations. One Talk Tundra, thank you very much for the donation. Appreciate you. And then Kravos, thank you very much. Thank you for the education. You are very welcome. Yep. And I gave the AARO guy an education too, and I explained exotic vacuum objects to him and cold plasma and why it's important for this stuff. It's not a coincidence that we're constantly seeing these UFOs, these orbs of energy in a triangle formation. Like, this is very specific. Yeah, actually, basically this. Yeah. I mean, he more or less said this to me. He more or less said, at least when it comes to MH370, he's like, you've done a huge amount of investigation in this and like, putting the pieces together and what have you. He may have seen some of my podcasts. I'm not sure. He's almost certainly seen some of the stuff on social media. But yeah, he pretty much said like, yeah, and I told him like, you're like I was like, you're on kind of the counterpart to me where you're looking at a bunch of different cases, but from the government's perspective, where you have theoretically access to compartmentalized information or classified information, versus me, everything I'm doing is open source. So we have to infer and deduce information a lot more frequently. We build a set of facts and then we try to develop a story that makes the most sense to fit those facts. That's the best that we can do. And that's why the difference between he's trying to find out, okay, what's the chain of custody on the video, who recorded it or whatever, where was the drone, etc. And I'm just going, I don't need that. I just need you to tell me that we have these capabilities and these are real military capabilities. That's enough. If that's real military capabilities, now all the debunkers' stories fall apart. Because now the debunkers have to say, oh yeah, the U.S. military faked videos of a missing airplane. Because now they'd have to admit that the government's doing a psyop. And the debunkers aren't willing to do that because the debunkers are mostly like CNN brainwashed people. And they can't admit that the government would do a psyop, So we win with even that. So the reason why I'm excited is that there's a non-zero chance that we find some evidence like that we get some evidence like that. And so the AARO person did not find Edward Lynn. Hasn't found Edward Lynn. I might be the one who has to find Edward Lynn. That might be how this plays out. And he even told me, like, you know, we saw that Edward Lynn was out of prison, blah, blah, blah. Like, he might not be wanting to talk to us. He might be afraid. We don't know his psychological state. We don't want to press him on that. And I was like, yeah, that totally makes sense. And I gave a little bit of information of what I thought there might be out there about Edward Lynn as well. But it might have to be us that finds Edward Lynn. At some point, Edward Lynn's got to step forward. What I will tell Edward Lynn is this. If you go to the AARO, you will be protected. You will be protected as a whistleblower. If Edward Lynn is out there and listening, go to the AARO, tell them my name. Tell them my name. I will get you in touch with my officer that I'm working with that's taken the case, and we'll blow the lid off this whole thing. I'm 99.9% sure that the officer that I'm talking about is a regular guy ready to be red-pilled. Ready to be red-pilled. Like, if he sees legitimate evidence, like, this guy is going to be on our side. That's what I truly believe. He told me straight up, almost right in the beginning, that he hasn't seen anything crazy that would make him believe that aliens are visiting or anything like that. And he was a down-to-earth guy, not, you know, I didn't feel like he was being biased against aliens. He's like, if I saw it, I'd be totally down, you know. It's just, we've looked and I've seen a lot of stuff and I just haven't seen it. Jem Bolt, thank you very much for that donation. Appreciate you, man. Appreciate you. That's an awesome donation. Thank you very much. So, and here's the thing too. I know I was actually thinking, should I invite him on Hard Truths? It would be fun to talk to an AARO guy about their experience on the inside and like the harassment they get, and that just from their perspective and their point of view. Because like they see that there is this big history of UFOlogy. Nobody can deny that. The history of UFOlogy goes back decades, maybe even hundreds of years, whatever, depending on if you believe the paintings and the stuff that people see. And people that are like the true believers would say, well, that's enough. The fact that there's even a history, that's enough. Maybe. But for people who are really skeptics, that's not enough. Just the fact that there's historical stories going back decades and decades and decades, that's not enough for people who are really skeptics. And that's what I think at least the AARO person I spoke to was like. Doesn't mean they're all like this, just the one that I spoke to. Once again, I will be getting a memorandum of record. I will be getting my memorandum of record. I will post it publicly on social media when I get it. It will have signatures on the bottom that I am going to black out because I said I'm not going to expose this person's name, but I am going to post that. So for anybody who's even somewhat skeptical about this or is trying to claim I didn't talk to AARO, don't worry. I'm going to get absolute proof that I did, even though I've also got a phone call. And the person that I spoke to is literally known by like Jeremy Corbell and some of these other UFO people. They know who he is. And that was big for me because I told him too, that I was afraid that I was either being psyoped or that either I was being psyoped or that maybe there was I was being scammed or something like that, because that's what the debunkers have been trying to do. And I told him about that kind of stuff as well. I pretty much told him everything. I tried to be as honest as I could. I think that's the best policy on a lot of this. Did I miss any donations? Oh, wow, there's more. Okay. Frontier Nexus, have you seen the letter from the U.S. Navy CTO James Sheii vouching to the U.S. Patent Office that Salvador Payas's room temperature superconductor is operable? No, that's useful. Is that true? Guys, anyone, can you find a link for that? If you guys can find a link for that and either DM it to me or post it in the Discord, that would be great, because literally one of my questions, my third question on my list for Salvador Payas on my other screen over here is, are your patents operational? Because what we're gonna get done on Sunday is we're going to settle this bullshit disinformation narrative that people are pushing about Salvador Payas's patents. we're going to get an admission from Salvatore Paez on Sunday that the patents are operational, that they've actually been tested. That will end it. And how can I be confident that I know they're tested? Because I actually watched a clip earlier today with Tim Ventura talking to Salvatore Paez, and he said that they had done a test on the high energy electromagnetic field generator. So at least one of them I know already has been. But if we can get on record that all of them have either been tested, experimented, or are operational, then there's no more limited hangout bullshit arguments anymore. So that will be very big as well. And I spoke to the lieutenant colonel about his patents and said, like, you know, look at those patents. That what are we looking at there? We're looking at the orbs in the videos. I told him that. Like, this stuff can't be coincidence. Oh, the AARO person knew Tim Burchett, though, of course. They knew a lot of them, those guys. They've most likely spoken to basically all the famous UFO people you see. This person's spoken to like all of them, basically. But we are starting to get a pretty good idea of what the whole picture of this UFO situation is. If you really take everybody at face value and you take all their information at face value, and then you try to paint the picture that fits the best, it's starting to come into view. And I mean, even the debunkers and the skeptics and the believers and everybody in between, is that there is some technology out there. There's some technology out there, and it's extremely advanced. And humans at this point have most likely figured it out. I'd say with a 95% degree of certainty. And that the governments of the world are kind of secretly working on this. And not directly necessarily. Russia and China's governments maybe, but our government is mostly the defense contractors that we're doing that with. And where they come from or if there is aliens, I think the nature of the alien situation is really up in the air. For me, the top two options, and there might be more than one as possible, it's not just one or the other, are ancient civilization that had advanced technology, or second option, that there are beings living in the oceans, creatures, something living either at the bottom of the ocean or just underneath the ocean, and they're just living down there, chilling, because they got advanced technology and they can just live down there. And maybe they even look like us. They could even look like us. It's hard to say. Or look similar enough to us that we would not be able to distinguish. I see a bunch of people when I walk around every day, and I wonder if that person could be an alien, and I would never know. They look like they could be an alien, you know? Okay. Ark of Grace was talking about you yesterday, Ashton. I don't know what that means, but is that good? You know, I used to try to clip every time people were talking about me, but it actually has reached a point where like it happens so often I can't really keep up with it. So if people have been talking about me and sending me stuff, I apologize. It's just a one-man show here. It's hard to do it. I am working on trying to get that fixed up though and improve this situation from a production standpoint. Okay, what else we got? Let me see. Did I miss any donations? Okay, no, we got them all. Sweet. Okay, let's criticize a little bit now. Okay, so we glazed up the AARO a little bit. There's something going on. There's some nature of some cover-up happening with the UFO technology. We're just going to call it UFO technology. UFOs doesn't mean aliens, guys. UFOs means unidentified flying objects. So just because there's UFOs out there does not mean little green men are out there. We have to break through that misconception. So there's UFO technology out there. Somebody's hiding it from the world. We don't know exactly how many people know about it, but I would say a small sliver of a percentage of the population knows about it. The nature of the technology is extremely powerful and advanced. It's free energy for everybody. It's 0 point energy. That part, we know the science of it. We know the science. We know the physics. We're actually really that's the part we know the most about, probably, which is funny. You wouldn't think that the science and physics would be the stuff that we would know the most about, but we do. We know how the gravity manipulation, everything is based on 0 point energy for the most part. And we're trying to figure out how long have we had this, who has this, and how do we get it out to the public? That's basically what we're trying to do. Now, the biggest thing that gives me pause about the conversation that I had was the satellite question. So I gave the lieutenant colonel satellite USA 224. Why? This is why. This is the real trajectory of USA 229. Did I say 224? 229. Here it is. I should probably email this to him. This is USA 229 on March 7th, 2014, 1839 UTC, right over Indonesia here, staring down at the coordinates of our video. This is within 5 minutes of when we've estimated this plane is getting disappeared at these coordinates. And we've got 2 satellites staring straight down at it. Perfect position. You couldn't ask for better position. It's the exact right angle as well. That's the crazy part. The angle of incidence of staring down, it's looking from the south, which is exactly what we're seeing in the video as well. So to me, if the data that was beamed to the ground-based computers to build the imagery for the satellite video was used, it's coming from this satellite pair. This naval ocean surveillance satellite pair is most likely linked up with the SBIRS system. Now, the public wouldn't know this, but the lieutenant colonel could potentially find out. The lieutenant colonel could potentially find out that USA 229 did send data and that data got linked up with the SBIRS system. Because if you were able to find out that USA 229 is linked to the SBIRS system, then again, Yahtzee. There's like, the reason why I'm excited is there's like 10 different ways that AARO could theoretically find some piece of information that corroborates the videos. It maybe won't corroborate it to a degree where they're satisfied, but to a degree where I'm satisfied. Like if they find out that, oh, yep, USA 229 is connected to the SBIRS system, or if they find out that SBIRS is actually doing full motion video surveillance, or if they find out that we've got thermal drone videos with Predator drones or Gray Eagle drones or whatever with thermal videos on them. That's just 4 examples right off the top of my head. So I told him, look this up. I gave him a bunch of strings to pull. I was like, look, if you're serious and you want to solve this, I'll give you the things to look into. I also told him about the fire suppression device that washed up in the Maldives. People say, where did the plane go? The plane went to the Maldives, somewhere to the west. Teleporting it to the west. After that, I can only speculate. We know the islanders saw the plane in the early morning hours flying towards Diego Garcia, but that's all we've got. So we've got a very blurry picture after the plane gets disappeared. I will add, somebody asked about the motive. I will answer that in a second, but I want to finish my criticism for a second. Because I spoke with the lieutenant colonel about pretty much all my thoughts on why they did this to the plane, etc. as well. That's why it was almost 2.5 hours. But how do they not know that we have satellite video? I looked up some of these agencies. Well, it's going to be hard to do this without doxing people. Let's just say this. I looked up this person and verified who they were. It was easy. And then I started looking up where they had worked and stuff like that in defense. And that one of the places they had worked was affiliated with like the CIA and the NRO and the NGA and, you know, maybe the NSA, like all the satellite people and all the spy people. I'm like, dude, your job is affiliated with all of these 3-letter agencies. How do you not know that we have full motion color video satellite? How do you not know that? How do they not know about this immaculate constellation? Here you go. I'll give you guys a little bit of news right here. Mark it down. They are going to investigate the immaculate constellation. AARO is going to investigate the immaculate constellation claims. I don't know what that means, but they're going to investigate it. It is, yeah, maybe he did know. Maybe he did know and he was being coy because he has to protect security. Generally, when I was talking to him, there was only a couple times where he had to be careful about what he said. And I told him, like, don't even, you know, don't even push it, is what I basically told him. Don't even push it. It's not that big a deal. You know, and I just told him, as long as you tell me if you find something, you know, that's fine. I don't need you to tell me exactly what you found, if there's surveillance stuff that's classified or anything like that. I'm not trying to get anybody thrown in jail. But he's connected. His organization is connected to that. So this is where I told him, you know, you just find out if that is really what Sivers looks like. It's really that simple. We don't need all this crap about looking for drones. Like, are we looking at Sivers in the MH370 video? We either are looking at Sivers or we're not looking at Sivers, right? I told him, like, in the bottom left down here, it says NROL 22. That's the first launch of the Sivers system. So let's just cut to the chase. Does Sivers do full motion video surveillance? Right? Because am I taking crazy pills? I feel like that's just so simple. Like, hey, is Sivers doing full motion video surveillance of our planet? I feel like he should be able to answer that question pretty easily. So he played dumb on it, like he had just learned. He actually focused only on the drone video. He didn't really focus on the satellite video at all, now that I think about it. But I also got the impression he did a little bit of research on, you know, I think he did some work. But I have high standards. I didn't get the impression that he got classifications to go digging around and looking at footage. He didn't go around looking at footage, which is what I would have expected him to do. In my opinion, he should have got the classifications, gone to the NSA, gone to the NRO or the NGA, whoever has the footage, and said, show me some Sivers footage. Do we have video? Does it look like that? Right? Easy. Okay. So I spoke to him about, why did he ghost me? Good question, actually. I think it's basically the answer he gave me is it's government, it's slow, and he basically had to go back to, I can't say exactly where, but he had another assignment related to military service where he had to go back to military service for a little bit. So basically only about half the last 7 months. And he apologized to me like several times for not getting back to me. He said he owed a couple other people, like 2 other people, follow-ups as well. And he felt really bad. And I was like, dude, don't worry about it. It's fine, man. I get how it is. People get busy. They get sidetracked with stuff, whatever. And so I don't know. Not the greatest excuse for why he didn't get back to me for that long. And I told him, like, look, man, looking from my perspective, I was like, I made that post, and I'm sure he saw my post or whatever. And I was like, look, I sent those emails because from my perspective, it looks like you're being super shady. Oh, this brings up, so what's the context of the email that he sent before? So he said that the surveillance, the search video, so let me pull up my email. Some of AARO's initial research into MH370s revealed the U.S. government's search efforts after the airliner disappeared from radar. Sorry, I'm thinking about like 2 things at the same time here. And what he meant there was basically that he couldn't say what, but the U.S. apparently tried to search for the plane. Maybe not. He wasn't talking about right after it disappeared from radar, but maybe like within the first 24 hours or something like that. So he did find something about the U.S.'s attempts to look for it. Could have been from a satellite or from some other system. He said, like, you could probably deduce what kind of information they were using to try to find it or whatever. And I was like, dude, I already know the United States government knows exactly what happened in the plane because I know about SOSUS, I know about SIBRs, I know about over-the-horizon radar. We've got these military bases, Jorn radar system. Like, we know where this plane went. I even told him about the Avi Loeb thing, looking for his little micro ball sphericals. So, and he was kind of like, yeah, it's kind of hard to, like, you know, believe that the plane just straight up disappeared off the face of the earth. Yeah, so that was interesting. I forgot what else I was going to say. Okay, we're going to talk about the motive here in a second. What did we talk about? What did I talk about with him at the end? Sorry, I'm trying to do a lot of this from memory. I took some notes, but not that much. Okay, so somebody wants a quick recap. Let's do a quick recap, guys, since we're almost an hour into the stream already. So, last November. So, and real quick, I got to address this, guys. I hate this the most, but like, I get a lot of requests for videos. I don't have the answers for you, man. I really don't. People send me so many videos that everyone wants me to look at their videos. Like, it's like being a doctor and everybody wants you to like look at their weird thing on their arm or whatever like that. Like, I guess that's just my life now, but I just don't have the answers for you on that. You know, if it's just a light in the sky, or even if it's something that's moving back and forth, it's just not enough. When you're dealing with like the smoking gun proof, you have to realize the AARO is not looking for somebody with a cell phone of a light in the sky. They're looking for like absolute, there's no other way to explain it. That's what the AARO is looking for. Simple as that. Yeah, no unsolicited orb pics, guys. Okay, so oh, that was it. That was the thing. Just reminded me. I have to say this before I forget. Is he said the only reason why? So here's the thing. Why is the AARO looking into MH370 at all? He said we wouldn't normally even be looking into a missing airliner. That's not even in their whatever charter or whatever they call it. He said the only reason why we're looking into it is because of your case in the videos. Because you said that this is related to advanced technology that we're hiding or reverse engineering or whatever. And I even kind of told him, honestly, I hope this didn't hurt that argument, but I said, like, I'm not even sure we're reverse engineering this. Like, it looks like crazy ass technology. I can understand why people think it's aliens. But I told him the more you understand about the science, the more you realize this doesn't require aliens to be true. We don't need aliens to figure the science out. Now, maybe we did figure it out from there. I don't know. Yeah, the remit. There you go. That's the word I was looking for. So actually, the only reason why the AARO is even looking into the case is because of the videos, because of the orbs on the videos. And once again, even he admitted if those videos can be authenticated, that's it. There's your smoking gun. There's no explaining it away as balloons or super hypersonic birds or any shit like that. Like, there's clearly some UFO thing going on in the MH370 videos. Clearly, like there's, yeah, they're not going to do a Senate hearing and be like, yeah, that was some parallax that we saw there. And I was making fun of him. I'm like, you see why people? I was like, do you see why people are mad at you? Because like, you guys come out and you're like, oh, that was a balloon and that's some parallax or whatever, you know. And I think he kind of understood, but I was like, I didn't really have great advice for him, honestly. They can do whatever they want. Okay, recap. Here's the recap if you just joined. November of last year, I was the very first person to submit any case at all to the AARO. The AARO had set up this portal online to receive cases, and I was the first one to submit a case. I know because he told me pretty much after the fact, was like, oh yeah, like, basically nobody has submitted, he was like, you were like the first, if not, he said you were either one of the first or the first person. And I know I was first because like within 5 minutes of that website turning on, I submitted the case. So I submit the case of MH370, the MH370 videos. These videos, if you're not familiar with them, here's the side-by-side. Wait, where is the side-by-side? Here it is. Submitted these videos. I submitted the evidence. Now, keep in mind, this was November of last year. This was a year ago that I submitted the case. Okay, a year ago. So a lot has gone on in a year. A lot. So when I submitted this case, it was only 3 months into the investigation. Now, we had a lot of evidence at that point. We knew about the fire event and stuff like that. We knew about Catherine T., but we didn't have like the letter to Ashton Forbes and a lot of the other like huge breaks that have happened in this case. So I submit that. I got a response back from the person I spoke to tonight back on January 8th, 2024. Now, I have screenshots, which I can share. Actually, you know what? I will share. And I told him, too, that I like to stream and show everything because I'm trying to be as transparent as possible. No, I'm not sharing my screen yet, right? Okay. Oh, I got to black this out. Hold on, chat. So back on January 8th, 2024, I got a phone call. I spoke to the person I spoke to tonight back then for an hour and how long? 31 minutes. Hour and 31 minutes. I'm just blocking out the cell phone number so that you guys don't see it. Because I realize that it's like it's a cell phone, so I don't want people bothering this guy because these people are nutto about the AARO, and I could see them like attacking him. Okay, here you go. Here's the phone call, January 8th. This is from my cell phone. I took a screenshot last night. Above this image here is the phone number. The phone number would have been up here. I deleted it. So January 8th, 6:22 p.m., 1 hour and 31 minutes. I spoke to the AARO member for an hour and a half. And how was I able to confirm that they were legit? I saw something on their social media profile that was connected to a football game that they were watching a football game when we had this conversation. I could hear the football in the background, and we talked about it, and I mentioned it, and we talked a little bit about the football thing. I even remember saying, hey, I'll let you go back to your game, what have you. And right after I saw this yesterday, I went and I dug up to find out if there really was a football game that night with the teams that we were talking about. And sure enough, there was a football game at this exact time on that exact date with the exact team that is related to their social media profile. So I realized right then that they were 100% legit. That was a real person. So I was able to confirm that this person's, even before I spoke to them today, I was able to confirm that they're 100% legit. And that's why I was like, okay, guys, I'm going to show you. Now, what I will say about their profile when I looked into it, and I didn't look into their profile until yesterday, that they are a counterintelligence agent. They've obviously worked in the military. They're lieutenant colonel. They were, I forget what it was, something. Oh, hold on. I have the screenshots right here. They were a deputy chief of operations of the Defense Intelligence Agency, a former one. And I'm not going to say whatever else they've done, but they work currently in the Pentagon. They work in the Pentagon right now. I'm not going to say the exact position, but I'm staring at it with my eyes right now. And so, knew they were legit, which is interesting because it goes to show you that the AARO, they don't call themselves, the people that are working in the AARO don't call themselves AARO. It doesn't say AARO on this person's job position, which I thought was interesting. So I spoke to him, gave him all the information January 8th. Then we have a bunch of emails back and forth. Now, I'm not going to show all the emails back. I don't know if we even really need to show all the emails back and forth at this point. I'm so lazy. I don't want to edit out his name. So I'm just going to read some of the emails. Okay. So the first one was like, thank you for taking the time to talk to me tonight. It's from January 8th. He sends me an email. Your insights were greatly appreciated. As discussed, I'll send you the memorandum of record for your review within the next few days. He never sent me the memorandum of record for review. He even said how like he was sorry about how he never sent it to me, and that he's going to get it to me here soon. So I'm going to get that memorandum of record finally. Now here, so basically, I thanked him. I buttered him up. I emailed him back with all the evidence, the videos. I emailed him back with the all evidence list. I emailed him the Sibbers video as well in this email. And yeah, just thanked me again, glazed me some more. So basically, I asked for a bunch of follow-ups, never got some follow-ups. And then the last thing was he sent me on April 11th. We found something about the search efforts related to the plane. And then that was it, basically. He wanted to find more about the Regicide Anon YouTube channel. Because he was thinking, too, that we could find the Regicide Anon person, but we're never going to find Regicide Anon. I mean, maybe the military can do it or the government. I don't know. But I also went over all the motive or the crap. Just lost my train of thought, chat. One sec. Oh, I went over the chain of custody for how we think Regicide Anon got the videos with them as well. I said, you know, I think Edward C. Lynn showed somebody else the videos, and then that person gave them to Regicide Anon. Like, I think there's more than one player involved in this, in the leak of these videos. I don't know the answer to this question. I don't really understand how AARO works. I did ask him, but apparently he can go on like other assignments and not be working for AARO for a while. So he's like coming back to the AARO. End of the day, guys, I don't really know how the government works. It's weird. It's not as simple as like he's in some weird specific position in the AARO. It's not, it doesn't apparently work that way. Kind of interesting. Yeah, we're going to talk about the motive here in just a second, guys. The other thing I want to say is this. I went over all the FOIA requests with him as well. I told him about the FOIA requests, why they're being rejected out of the interest of national defense, why they're being rejected under Obama exemption 13526, which I've memorized at this point, and went all over all that. So anyway, we exchanged emails. Last email I get from him is April 11th, 2024, which was a few months back. And then I never hear back from him again after that. Like, okay. So then I call him 6 different times over the next like 2 months, 3 months. No responses to any of my phone calls. I even leave messages. I assumed it was some kind of like, I don't know, work number or something like that. I send him 9 email follow-ups. So this one at the top is the last email he sent me. You can see all the dates if you guys want. You know what? Can I zoom in? Yeah, okay. You guys can see the dates. So I send him some kind of, I don't know, things about finding verifiable evidence, all this stuff, blah, blah, blah. Here you go. John Greenwalt FOIAing me. Turns out that John Greenwalt's not going to be able to get any information. So I send this. Families never came up. We never talked about the families of the plane. I did explain the microchips. We're going to talk about the motive in a second. So hang on. Okay. So John Greenwalt is never going to get any FOIA information because they intentionally do not allow this information to be FOIA'd, because if you could FOIA this case, imagine if I was a black project engineer, a whistleblower, and I went and talked to the AARO, and now some guy FOIAs it. And it's like, Ashton is, hey, Lockheed Martin, Ashton went and talked to the AARO. Then it puts me in danger. That's the reason why they reject the FOIAs. That's the reason why John Greenwald, that doofy dildo guy or whatever, why he got an envelope back from FOIA and me, and it had this thing on the front page, and he didn't even know why it said it. It was because my case is protected from him. He can't get any private information about me, because if he were to find out that I was whistleblowing or somebody else, not me, then it would put that person in danger. And I agree 100%, actually. It makes sense. So John Greenwald will not be able to FOIA this. Doesn't matter anyway, because we're already going to be able to, we can confirm it's real anyway, that this is actually going to be MH370 is going to be a case that's going to be in probably the next AARO report. So you want to get caught up. That was the story of being ghosted. And then just yesterday, I called again just to give it another go. 7th phone call, and they texted me back. And I texted him today because it was starting to get late. Like, it was 4 o'clock. And I'm like, hey, I'm about to do a live stream and dox you on the live stream. Not dox him, but, say his name. And then he, called me back right away. And then we started talking. And he told me he was surprised that he had not been doxed yet, because a lot of people apparently know who he is. He said that he was surprised that he hadn't yet been doxed. Thank you, my channel. Appreciate it. 3 orbs? 4 orbs, baby. We got 4 orbs down there. And pretty much told me, I can't force you to not say my name, but I'd prefer it because there's a lot of weirdo people out there. Oh, there's the source, Frontier News. Thank you very much. That's the one, huh? I'm going to take a look at that. I wrote that down somewhere. I don't even know where I wrote it down. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Okay, let's talk about the motive. And I thought we were going to run. I thought this was going to go short, but we have a lot of stuff to talk about. I mean, I spoke for a while with them. So the motive of the plane. Oh. Thank you very much. UFO patent is operable. Appreciate that. I told him that the motive, the thing about this technology is plasma is one big aspect. The other aspect is microchips. I told him he should cross-reference the stuff that he comes across with microchips, because this energy that's out there, 0-point energy, is at the quantum scale. So that means we need to interact with it at the smallest possible levels. Smallest possible levels. The Casimir effect gets more and more powerful the closer the plates get together. Okay? So that means that if we can make something very small, we can make a microchip that can then scale up that effect. You can make an array out of your microchip. And I told them, you could have a situation in the future where you've got, a free energy microchip in your phone, and now your phone never runs out of energy. I explained that to him. And I said, there's these 20 people on board this plane, free-scale semiconductors, and they're going to China. Maybe they're defecting. This is why I told him it's an operation. So this, for the people on what's the motive, the 20 free-scale semiconductor engineers are the biggest motive, but that's not even necessarily enough, because people will say, why not just take them out an easier way? Why break out the orbs? Well, because it's also a show of force to our adversaries, where you're saying, look what we can do, and if you say anything about this, nobody will believe you. Nobody will believe you. And if you're President Xi or Vladimir Putin, the next time you get on a plane, you're going to be terrified. You're going to be absolutely terrified. Why do you think we're not afraid of Russia nuking us? Does it seem like the United States is afraid of Russia nuking us? No, we're like giving Ukraine missiles to shoot into Russia. We're not afraid of Russia. We're not afraid at all of Russia. Are you kidding me? People are like, oh, Russia's going to hit us with 4,000 nukes. We probably have 4,000 orbs or 12,000 orbs. Those nukes are going to explode the moment they take off. That's the best case scenario. Like, we're not afraid of Russia's nukes. Not at all, chat. Okay. So that's the motive, is these 20 Freescale semiconductor engineers are definitely the motive. It's the only thing that makes sense, but it's not as simple as that. There's probably a secondary motive of this message to China, message to Russia, message to Ukraine, or Ukraine, Iran, North Korea, etc. And I told him too that, yeah, maybe they have it too, but realize it's not as just like you either have it or you don't. It's like, how far advanced are you with it? Because even if you figure out your floaty Paul plasma orb, you then have to figure out, oh, well, I can take like 3 of them. Don't worry, chat. I got coins. You take 3 of them and turn them into a triangle, right? And then you zap your plane away. That's a completely different advancement of the technology. So to think that, oh, well, just because everybody knows about UFO tech doesn't mean that everybody's got the same level of UFO tech. And Russia and China might be catching up. It's hard to say. Like, we really don't know. That's what's going on, is that nobody wants the other people to know what they have, what their capabilities are. Russia and China don't want the U.S. The U.S. doesn't want Russia and China to know. That's why they don't want this information to be leaking out, because they don't want Russia or China to have any idea. The fact that they're not afraid of what I've been exposing tells me that we probably got some shit that's like really, really crazy. Like, you think teleporting a plane's crazy? Like, it's going to probably get way crazier, unfortunately. I feel like we haven't even hit the peak yet, I don't think, guys. Okay, so we spoke about the Tic Tac as well. Tic Tac video. We spoke about the Tic Tac video, guys. I spoke with the AARO about the Tic Tac video. And this was another thing that I was surprised at, is that they couldn't find any corroborating evidence. Like, they couldn't find, apparently, all the, I don't know, it was like the Nimitz is like, what, a battle cruiser? I don't know. There's some specific name they have. Whatever the Nimitz is, I was like, how does there no radar data or anything to go along with the Tic Tac sighting? And he's like, well, it's all gone. I don't know. We can't find it. He's saying that, well, the problem is it's from 2004. So it's from so long ago that, where did that stuff go? Did somebody pick it up and walk away with it? Like, I told him, I was like, Commander Fravor said that people came in and took the data and walked away with it. I also asked him, I said, do you think that Nimitz video, that Tic Tac video, do you think that's the highest quality video there is? And he kind of didn't understand what I meant at first, because he's like, well, didn't Commander Fravor leak that? No, Commander Fravor didn't leak that. It's not Commander Fravor's video. Somebody put that out there, and Commander Fravor knew who took it. So I thought that was a little weird, but it goes to show there's a certain level of ineptitude that's going on in the government, where it's just government's just bureaucratic and sometimes stupid. It would not surprise me at all to find out that the logs from 20 years ago on some command cruiser are just gone. Either taken or destroyed or just straight up gone. Wouldn't surprise me at all. Grace Cho, thank you very much. Super sticker. Appreciate it. I don't know what super sticker means. Does anybody know what that means? But thank you very much. I appreciate that for sure. Okay. Oh, Nimitz is an aircraft carrier. Thank you. Appreciate that. So wherever this stuff went from the aircraft carrier, I don't know. He didn't know either. So we're starting to get a pretty good idea of what's going on in the government. Pretty inefficient. We didn't get a response for 7 months. Dude just disappeared for 3 months, came back, acted like nothing happened. They're not very good at hunting down information. I was led to believe they would easily be able to confirm or deny that the drone and satellite video are consistent with U.S. military capabilities. And that didn't seem to happen. That was somewhat surprising for me. So they're not as capable as we always thought they were. And but I do think that there's going to be, there's hope. I think that I gave a lot of different pieces of verifiable evidence, including like the camera. I said you could go look at General Atomics and try to see if the drones, these drones, it checks out for drone capabilities. But the camera, the MX-25 or whatever other version, I gave him the name of that to try to check out. I also gave him some information that I have not shared with anybody else. I'm not going to go into more detail on it, but just information I've shared with basically nobody that I've never told you guys about. I gave to the AARO. I said, look, I'm going to trust you with this information. Could get somebody in trouble, but I want to tell you this. I've just seen some information, blah, blah, blah. I'll try to, get you a copy of it as necessary because it is my insurance policy in that case. It's my insurance policy. If something were to happen, then at least I have the AARO people would be like, oh, it's kind of weird. This guy who reported this case disappeared off the face of the earth. And he told me this interesting information about, whatever. So is that it? I think that's good enough for the AARO. Any last questions on the AARO conversation? So pretty much what's the next step? I'm going to get my memorandum of record. They're going to pull a few more strings on the MH370 videos. They're going to send me a write-up, and I don't have to sign the write-up. I can add to it. I can literally just edit more stuff in there if I want. And then it will be an official record. It will be an official record with the AARO. Susan Go never came up. We didn't talk about Susan Go or anything like that. We'll see. Yeah, I didn't feel like they were giving me the runaround. I just got the feeling like they were kind of lazy or didn't really get the job done is the impression that I got. I don't know. That other orb was in the UK, right? Seems like they would have the tech. Hard to believe that we are just flying these orbs wherever we want to mess with countries. Yeah, we're not breaking this tech out very often. You don't break this tech out very often. In fact, this is the kind of technology you break out where you don't want anyone to see it. Thank you for the donation, by the way. And I think that the Five Eyes countries have control over the technology. I think the people that can press the button to deploy the technology know about it, but very, very few do. So even the good lieutenant colonel that I spoke to, I truthfully think that he has no idea. I think that he might speculate that there's technology out there, but he's never seen enough proof to believe himself. That's the impression I got from him. But did not feel like I was getting the runaround or anything like that. I also am feeling very confident at this point that the government's not going to assassinate me. I'm not as confident that the defense contractors won't assassinate me or that the oil companies or energy companies won't, but the government I don't think would. I'm just it's starting to become clear who's got the technology. It's not necessarily directly the government, at least in the United States, but the defense contractor people that give us the stuff, people have control over the weapons. Okay. Yeah, hit that like button, guys. Appreciate it. Let's change pace, guys. Let's change pace. Let's cool down now. We talked a little bit about AARO. Let's watch something fun. Let's watch something fun. I want to watch Eric Davis. So Big Pooh wants to talk shit, guys. I don't want to talk shit tonight. I talk enough shit. Watch the last live stream where I went on rants on the last live stream, guys. It is funny that I'm not actually directly related to Alan Dulles. I'm indirectly related to him. I'll tell you the connection. Hopefully this doesn't dox me. Hold on, let me think this through real quick. This is kind of weird because my dad has a half sister, and my half sister has children. So basically, my half aunt married one of the Dulleses. Like, I don't think it was Alan Dulles. I think it was the other one. Hold on. Doesn't he have what was his brother's name? Doesn't he have a brother or something like that? Yeah, John Foster Dulles. Wait. Is he the one? No. I don't know which one. No, not John Foster. It must be his children or something. I can't remember which Dulles it is, guys. I only found out this Dulles information like last year, less than a year ago. I was like, my dad was like, hey, you know who your cousins are, right? Like, you know who their dad was, right? He's like, one of the Dulleses. He's like, you know that Dulles Airport? And I was like, wait, what? And so I Google it and I find out the dude was like head of the CIA or something like that. So it was pretty wild. I don't know. I don't think that would protect me. But what I will say is that it's cool, though. It's cool. And I'm not blood related. Oh, yeah, it's kind of weird because it's like half aunt or something like that. Maybe I got that spook shield chat. Okay, let's have some fun, guys. Let's watch an Eric Davis thing. The fact that the AARO Lieutenant Colonel referenced Eric Davis to me unprompted, really interesting. Because here's the thing, guys. The Lieutenant Colonel was like, he tells me, he starts talking about warp drives before I brought warp drives up. We start talking generally about the UFO community and stuff like that. He starts talking about warp drives. And I'm like, dude, warp drives are real, man. I'm like, we got that. And he brings up Eric Davis, and he mentioned several times how much respect he had for Hal Poff. Dude, random counterintelligence people that worked in the DIA, that work at AARO, have respect for Harold Poff. Harold Poff is definitely the godfather. He's definitely the godfather, chat. Oh, Kim.com is obsessed with Alan Dulles. Guys, we found a weakness, chat. I hope does he hate him? Ooh, I can spook Kim.com. What if I tell Kim.com to next time he messes with me, I'm like, bro, I'm related to the Dulleses. Don't fuck with me, Kim. I'm going to put you in a Gitmo, motherfucker. I'm going to tell Kim.com that I'm going to use my Dulles connections to put him in Gitmo. Yes. Kim.com. I hate that guy. Kind of want to watch the Kim.com. You know what? I want to watch the Kim.com video. Where is it, chat? I don't even know where it is. Where did I save it? Oh, we have it. Which one is it? This one? In a world where rich douchebags like Oh, I might have been a little bit buzzed that night. Sometimes when I'm buzzed, though, I have the best one. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Pockets and Holly from the USA. The government came and took it all away. If he's a good boy, he gets his allowance. Kim.com has that glowing clairvoyance. Why do you glow so hard? Kim.com, what is hiding in your past? Kim.com stole from Hollywood, insider trading and embezzlement sting. Now he's on Twitter calling scammers with the only thing. The FBI left him a G-string. But when the glow's called him, he shed a tear. Now he's calling other people scammers out of fear. He got empty pockets and heartache from the USA. The government came and took it all away. Why do you glow so hard? Kim.com, what is hiding in your past? Kim.com stole from Hollywood, insider trading and embezzlement steal. so high.
Honestly, amazing video, chat. Absolutely amazing video. I love my community. I love my community. The fact that somebody made that video, Pepe made that video, I'm pretty sure, in under 24 hours, had made that whole video. Absolutely incredible. Oh, there you go, chat. That wiped me out. Okay, next fun thing. Let's watch this clip of Eric Davis. And we can play this whole clip because G4 went out of business. Nobody can copyright strike us. Brother, thank you. Thank you, man. Oh, thank you. That was awesome. Appreciate that donation, Mo. You've been awesome. You've given me plenty of donations. Thank you so much, brother. Appreciate it, man. That's huge. That's huge. I feel like we are going to get the truth eventually. We are going to get it. I don't know when it's going to happen, but it will happen eventually. We will get the truth. I was watching, this is what I want to say before we look at this clip. I was watching some of Salvatore Paez's other interviews, and I was watching his interview with me, and I don't even recognize myself, and I'm at the level now where I can actually have a science and physics conversation with Salvatore Paez. I keep saying his name wrong. Actually, I don't even know which way is correct. And I can understand the stuff that he's saying now. And even when I was watching him with Tim Ventura, I could understand what he's saying. I could tell that Tim Ventura couldn't understand it. So this conversation on Sunday is going to be amazing. Just for me, it's going to be a dream come true. And that tells me a couple things. It tells me that the videos are real because the physics in them is real. And it tells me all the physics that we've been learning is legit. And that it is understandable that I've come a far way. I know some of you have been here this whole time as well. I've come an extremely far way in understanding the science and the physics. Yeah, Tim Ventura is a great guy. He's a great guy. I'm a little bit above him in terms of the physics understanding, but he's got a great mind for understanding himself. He wasn't asking bad questions, but there's a couple times in the interview where I could tell he didn't quite understand what Salvatore Paez was saying, which is fine because I didn't understand what he was saying last year either. So yes, Sunday the 24th, live stream. Dave Rossi's going to join us after about an hour after I get to answer or ask all my questions for Sal. Now, let's watch Eric Davis on G4. Look at this, G4 television. So if anyone knows about G4 television, you're dating yourself because I'm pretty sure this company went bankrupt like 10 years ago. I used to watch this channel. It was like basically like a video gamers channel. And I'm looking at this, I'm like, wait, what? Attack of the Show? I'm like, are you telling me that Eric Davis was on Attack on the Show? Yeah, the Sunday at 2:30 Eastern, guys. 2:30 Eastern in the afternoon. Yeah, wait, what?
Well, before the break, we were trying to figure out how humans might be able to travel at the speed of Star Trek within our lifetimes. Didn't go too great. So now we're going to go a little bit deeper. Joining me now, co-editor and co-author of Frontiers of Propulsion Science and senior research physicist at the Institute for Advanced Studies in Austin, of Propulsion Science and senior research physicist at the Institute for Advanced Studies in Austin, Dr. Eric W. Davis.
What? What? I have seen this guy. I can only find like 5 interviews ever with Eric Davis. Well, why was he on G4 television? Some random, like almost defunct television channel for gamers? How did they pull this interview off? I can't stop asking. How did they pull this interview off? Why did they get this interview with Eric Davis? He was working with Hal Poff. When he says the Advanced Institute studies at Austin, he's talking about that's Earth Tech. Earth Tech. That's literally Hal Poff's company he's talking about right there. This is the weirdest interview I've ever seen. I can't believe this is a thing. People were in the comments of the video were saying like, this is like Oppenheimer going on like Saturday morning cartoon shows. It's like having Oppenheimer on cartoon shows. It's like, this is so weird. And listen to this comment coming right now.
Dr. Davis.
How you doing?
How you doing? Now,
Good, doing great.
Good. Glad to have you. I took one look at you and I said, this is a gentleman who can explain warp drive to me. Like, you've got that look about you.
That's what I said. He said the same thing I said. I said, Eric Davis looks like the dude you want to be your warp drive, your wormhole specialist. He looks just like him. It does, right? Like, this is the man who I want telling me how warp drives work. Also, yeah, this shirt right now is like, got it going on. Look at this shirt. Is he in Hawaii right now? He better be in Hawaii or Florida. I guess maybe this shirt flies in Austin as well. I'm not sure.
Oh, it's easy.
Oh,
think
I
of
bet it's
space
not.
as the ocean.
Uh-huh.
Think of space as the ocean, and Michael Phelps is a starship.
Right.
Okay, so right away he says, think of space as the ocean. I'm like, yeah, think of it as an ocean of energy, right? Like, what? He's already like, boom, on it.
He's propelled by fission or fusion rocket, any kind of rocket. But he's swimming vigorously, leaving the planet Earth, and he's going to swim all the way to Alpha Centauri, 4.3 light years away.
Uh-huh.
All right, he's flaying his arms, kicking his feet, expending a great deal of energy, and he can't go very fast. As a matter of fact, the resistance of the ocean water is going to keep him limited to below the speed of light. Einstein's special theory says you can't go faster than light. You can't even reach it, but you can always stay less than. Mm-hmm. Warp drive is a whole different matter. What you do is you use exotic energy. And exotic energy is just basically a fancy word for vacuum energy. You're going to use some quantum energy from the vacuum, and you're going to surround your warp drive ship, your starship, with a bubble of this energy, and it bends space. It creates like a surf effect, like Michael Phelps is now standing on a surfboard, and instead of swimming through space at less than the speed of light, he's surfing on space. The space is like the wave of the ocean water that surfs him to the beach faster than light. He can move faster than light, rather than the speed he would have had gone through if he was swimming the old way.
Okay.
The old-fashioned way through rockets.
Okay. I'm closer to understanding, but that doesn't mean I'm close to understanding.
This guy, this host this is going way over this host's head. He literally is explaining how real warp drive works to this random host guy who I don't recognize. And the host has no idea. He's talking to Eric Davis. The host has no idea Eric Davis is on bigot lists for UFO technology. He's written a bunch of papers on extracting energy from the vacuum, warp drives, and wormholes. This guy has no clue how significant that Eric Davis is. Like somebody else said, this is like Hawk Tua talking to Oppenheimer, and Oppenheimer trying to explain the atom bomb to Hawk Tua, and her just going, well, that's special. Hey, Pookie, come on in here. Like, this is so insane. How is this even real? How is this interview even real? I want to do an interview like this now.
So what is holding us back from creating a warp drive?
First of all, it's a technology development program. The theory requires stupendous amounts of vacuum energy, which we make in really tiny amounts in laboratory experiments on the Earth. We just don't know how to make humongous amounts of vacuum energy.
Right.
However, my colleague and personal friend, Sonny White at the NASA Johnson Space Center, has done a modified theory of warp drive where he has brought the energy requirement down to something possibly that can be done engineering in his lab. It could be engineered possibly down to about the mass equivalent of the Voyager 1 space probe. And then the next question is to produce this negative energy, this exotic.
You guys realize he just name dropped Sonny White? Did you see he just name dropped Sonny White right there? Sonny White gets name dropped as his friend. He says he's his personal friend in there. And crap, I forgot what I was gonna say. Anyway, let's keep going. I'll remember in a second.
energy.
Oh, I remembered. Here's the thing, guys. Are you ready? It's time to just give you guys the truth. Here you go. You ready for the truth? Pay attention, chat. He says we need this huge amount of energy to produce a warp drive. That's the thing holding us back. And it's vacuum energy. What is vacuum energy? 0 point energy. Vacuum energy is 0 point energy. They're the same thing. That's what he's saying. And this is why I say, like, physicists use different terms for the same exact thing. And that's why it's been so hard to untangle this web. So when he says vacuum energy, basically he's just saying 0 point energy. So how do we get this massive amount of energy? Well,
the way to see what the Weiss effect is all about is to say it's really the generation of extremely high energy densities that are obtained by the accelerated vibration and or accelerated spin of a non-equilibrium plasma. That means the plasma that's out of equilibrium. You can think of that. They have a term for it called cold plasma. Cold, as in, you know, non-thermal plasma, and it really has to do with the electrons of this plasma that talks to the plasma density very high. The number of these electrons do not observe something called a Maxwell-Boltzmann distribution. That's what a cold plasma is all about, an out of equilibrium or non-equilibrium plasma. Once you drive that far from equilibrium at a particular vibrational frequency, you can induce extremely high energy densities. Think of it as a steak. You take the meat tenderizer, you know, the big hammer, and you keep on pummeling at the same spot over and over. What do you see eventually? A hole.
So there's your answer. How do you achieve the energy densities? If you're listening carefully, he just said the answer to achieve the energy densities is plasma. Use cold plasma. Cold plasma is extremely important. Why? When he says it doesn't obey the Maxwell-Boltzmann distribution, you need to understand what the Maxwell-Boltzmann distribution means. When I recorded that, I had no fucking idea what Salvatore Pais was saying. That's why I sit there looking like deer caught in the headlights, like, because I had no clue. I just wanted to let him speak. I had no idea what was going on. I learned that the Maxwell-Boltzmann distribution is the distribution of the interaction between temperature and the, let's say, not average, maybe average speed of the electrons. And why is this important? So the higher the temperature, the faster the electrons are going to be moving. The faster the electrons are moving on average, the more likely there is for collisions to occur between the electrons. Why is this important? Because we're trying to produce fusion. The Maxwell-Boltzmann distribution relates directly to how to ignite a fusion reaction. They use the Maxwell-Boltzmann distribution to try to determine how much energy they have to put into their fusion reactor to get it to basically become continuous, to ignite, to light up. So what he's saying right now is he's saying hot fusion is a scam. There, Salvatore Pais is saying hot fusion is a scam. The way to do it is not by just trying to increase the temperature. The way to do it is to create this cold plasma, non-thermal plasma, meaning it's not giving off heat. It's not giving off heat or not huge amounts of heat. And you can create a cold plasma that has extremely high energy density. What does this sound like, chat? This is exotic vacuum objects. Salvatore Pais is talking about EVOs. He's talking about the exact same thing that Ken Shoulders discovered. Exact same thing. What is cold fusion? We've solved it. We've figured out what cold fusion is. It was never Pons and Fleischmann's thing. Now they figured out potentially the basis for it. cold fusion is not looking at fusion like hot fusion. Hot fusion's a scam. Hot fusion's never going to work. You heard it here first. Hot fusion is never going to work. Cold fusion is the only way that it will work. Instead of just trying to heat it up and hoping that things jam into each other, you need to use what nature has given us, a natural asymmetry of charges. And now we can create the conditions within the plasma at low temperatures that allow for more fusion interactions to occur. The same thing that they're trying to do with the Maxwell-Boltzmann distribution. Pretty crazy, right? Yeah, wouldn't it be more efficient? Of course. It's going to be more efficient in addition to everything else. So we're doing it the dumb way. Hot fusion is the equivalent of making rockets and trying to make your rockets shoot in the sky. You're going, well, just make it more hot and there'll be more fusion will happen. That's literally how we think about it. We're like, make it really, really, really hot. Like, what if it's not about making it hot at all? What if that's not even what it's about? That's why they call it cold fusion. Because it's not about making it hot. It's about getting the ideal conditions in your plasma. And you can create a non-thermal plasma, a cold plasma. I couldn't believe that, because now we just listened to Eric Davis say, we can make a warp drive. We just need these high energy densities. And then Salvatore Pais goes, cold plasma will give you the energy densities that you need. So you've got your ball of plasma giving you the energy densities that you need right here. And you take a second one that's equally charged. They're both the same charge, same polarity. And you jam them together, and now you're going to exponentially increase the charge. Because if you look at the equation, it's A times B, and depending on its plus or minus based on if the charges are the same or not. That's a very powerful equation. And as they come together, the energy level increases exponentially. You break the Schwinger limit very easily. Now you've broken through space-time, just like Salvatore Pais says in that clip. Where he says you're making a hole in the fabric of reality. That's what you're doing when you're making a warp drive. Pretty cool, huh? Okay. Let's finish this clip up.
In the laboratory, using a technique that can be scaled up to make the magnitude of energy that's needed. So it's just a technology development program right now. The theory exists. The proof principle exists. This is valid and proven in Einstein's general theory of relativity. It's just that we just don't have a technology to make it right now. And it could take us 100 years. It could take us 200 years to build this technology. But disruptive innovations are not predictable. They can pop up anytime between now and 200 years from now. They could pop up next year, 10 years from now, 50 years from now, and we could have warp drive within our lifetime. We just can't predict when some genius is sitting somewhere and a light bulb goes off over his head, and he figures out a innovation which can overcome this problem of producing negative energy in large enough quantities.
Now we just heard it. What if Salvatore Pais is that genius? What if somebody else figured it out? Truthfully, I can't really get a read on whether or not Eric Davis is lying here and he already knows we can do it, or if he's being honest. And maybe those guys are just investigating it and they suspect somebody's got it figured out, but they don't know. I think they know generally. The host again here really isn't buying it at all, which is pretty funny. Really funny.
How, if it happens, how fast are we talking travel-wise? How fast could we potentially travel?
Well, let me tell you. Einstein's general theory doesn't have a speed limit for warp theory.
Right.
You can go infinite speed. However, Richard Abuzi, another colleague of mine who's the president and chief executive officer of Icarus Interstellar, he has done warp drive studies using quantum string theories for his PhD thesis at Baylor University. He found that the ultimate speed limit is 10 to the 32 times the speed of light. That's 32 factors of 10 times the speed of light. That's what he believes the quantum theory limits the speed of light at.
Right.
Or I'm sorry, what the quantum theory says the maximum faster than light speed is. I'm sorry.
Right. So here's my question. How do you steer?
I was like, right. Okay, right. He's like, dude, it's basically the speed of light's infinite is what he's saying there. And the host is like, okay. He has like just no idea.
If you're going that quickly, how would you steer at that speed? Wouldn't you just necessarily run into something going that quickly, right? I mean, wouldn't you?
That's a possibility. There's been the question of when you're modifying space in front of your direction of motion to bring your target closer to you.
Right.
That means all the asteroids, meteorites, and radiation is going to pile up and just slam into you, full head on. That's a problem that's going to have to be solved yet. It might be a matter of a shield system, of an array of high-powered laser beams that'll just vaporize everything in your path of travel.
Right.
What you feel sitting inside the starship is basically nothing. You're sitting at rest. You're inside the warp bubble. You're not moving. The bubble is moving you.
Yeah.
So you don't feel anything.
Right. Okay. So
in a wormhole, it kind of solves the problem. You're basically just blinking from one place to the next. Everything else is basically just at rest. It's not certain whether or not you can go through solid matter, but you might be able to. So that might not even be a problem at all. With the warp drive, if you're not moving at superluminal speeds, as we see with the orbs, they can clearly run into stuff. But again, we don't really know if they can just go right through it or not.
But still, in 2012, we still have not put a man on Mars. What do you think is the importance of interstellar travel? Do you think that's still
okay,
something we should pursue? Is very important. Yeah, well, interstellar travel is very important because it expands the parameter space for exploration by 1 million times over the solar system. The solar system doesn't have any human-friendly planets other than the Earth. So we really are limited in what we could do as far as colonizing the other planets, open up some commercial mining and colonization programs that can expand our economy, add new jobs, increase our physics and astrophysics knowledge, increase our technology and things like that. If you go into interstellar space, the parameter space for all those things now becomes nearly unlimited. Don't forget that there are hundreds and hundreds of exoplanets that have been discovered, including dozens of super-Earths and a handful of Earth-sized exoplanets that are still being investigated at this time.
Right.
This gives us a bigger parameter space for being able to send man out to colonize new worlds, possibly even meet extraterrestrial intelligences.
And what would the effect be on a human being? How could a human being travel like that? What do you think? Obviously, it wouldn't look like Star Trek, but can a human being withstand that?
That's right. Well, as I said, when you're in the warp bubble, you're sitting inside it, you're just at rest.
Right.
The warp bubble modifies space to carry you there like a surfer on a wave. It's the wave of space that moves you to your destination. The ship is not moving. The space is moving the ship. So you feel nothing. But when you're looking out through your your monitor, like on the Starship Enterprise bridge, you have the big view screen, or your windows or whatnot, you don't see the stars rushing by like on Star Trek The Next Generation. What you see is all the stars in your field clump down, and they form a little ball of fuzzy, hazy light that's blue shifted. All the stars that move behind you all get collapsed down in view to a ball of fuzzy, hazy, red shifted light. So you don't see any starbows going by you. So it's a very bizarre view.
Yeah.
That's interesting. That makes sense. So what are you saying there at the end is that, so first of all, there's no G-forces. Remember, I've been saying that. It's a conveyor belt. You're not moving. The conveyor belt is moving. Space is moving. And then what he said about what you would see makes sense. So if you're moving away, so let's say this is rest here and I'm moving away from that. When I'm looking back at this fixed point, it's going to be red shifted because I'm moving away from it. So the wavelength's extending. And then the opposite is true for, if I'm trying to fly towards this planet and I'm flying towards it or this point in space, then everything in front of me is going to be blue shifted. The wavelengths are either contracting or expanding, depending on which direction I'm going. So that means that he's right about the blue shift or the red shift. Now, I didn't think about what it would look like from you if you were seeing it, but it would happen so quickly that I'm not sure that you would actually see much. Plasma can go through solid objects, for sure. Just for the people that were talking about that. That was one of the things that Ken Shoulders found, is that these plasmas can go right through solid objects. And yeah, how does he know this, right? Great question. I believe that everything he's saying here does have just a strictly scientific physics theoretical basis, but it is weird. He's being very specific. He's like, oh, this is exactly what you'd see, blah, blah, blah. But it does make me kind of wonder, like, dude, have you gone through a wormhole? Like, why are you talking about this so certainly? Like, it is kind of a bizarre thing. Okay, how do you make a plasma? Are you ready for this, chat? I haven't posted this clip yet. Yeah, that host was terrible, guys. It does seem like he's speaking from experience in that clip. Certainly does seem that way. He does have that look on his face as well. It does seem like, so what are they not talking about? They're not talking about this cold plasma. That's the thing that they're not mentioning. And how do I know Eric Davis knows about cold plasma? Because he wrote the 2004 ball lightning study. In the ball lightning study, he talks about this electrostatic plasma. The electrostatic plasma is the EVO. And he says it's ideal for future research into extracting energy from the quantum vacuum. So we know that Eric Davis from 2013 in that interview we just watched knows about the EVOs. He's familiar with the concept already at that point. Quite interesting. Yep. And yep, ball lightning can go through solid objects. Ken Shoulders noted this several times in his document. Straight through solid objects. Now, somebody asked, how do you make the plasma? Are you guys ready to have your mind blown right now? Do you guys see how effortlessly I'm putting together the arguments from pieces of information here or there? Like, I'm getting very, very good at piecing together the evidence from these very same people. Now, what I clipped you with Salvatore Paez about cold plasma, he says the same thing. Did I not put the time down? That's weird. The time's not listed there. Anyway, I have it narrowed down to a few seconds. He says the same thing to Tim Ventura in his interview, almost word for word. Almost word for word. Let's go. Okay, we'll just watch the whole clip about plasma. It's about 4 minutes long with Tim Ventura. Hey, PC's After Dark. Thank you. Did I miss any donations? Okay, I think we're good. You guys have been crazy. This is the most donations I've ever gotten in one day. Thank you very much. Appreciate you guys. PC After Dark. Okay, here we go.
Look at that paper that I published, the plasma compression.
Wait. Okay, you guys couldn't see it. Sorry. I was like, wait, why are you guys not seeing this? Okay. Can I pull this out? Okay, there we go.
Fusion device.
Okay.
The paper I published in IEEE, the transaction of plasma science. Actually, it's gotten a lot of views and even citation, but from who? From Chinese teams. China's looking into it.
They do.
Our own people have totally dismissed this work. Equations 5 and 6 in that particular paper. Remember, equations 5 and 6 in that particular paper. Okay. Plasma compression fusion device published in IEEE Transaction of Plasma Science, I believe, 2019. Equations 5 and 6, very important. Anybody that studies them and understands the significance of those equations, think of the Pace effect. What is a good rendition of the Pace effect? And let's not talk about electrically charged solids, because it's pretty hard to generate high Coulomb material, even with Van de Graaff, with Pelletron generators. It's pushing the limits. Think plasma. The generation of extremely high energy densities produced by what? Accelerated vibration of a non-equilibrium plasma. vibrated at a certain particular frequency, which I shall not name because that's not a good thing to bring up.
Well,
but
that sounds like your TR3B, right? That, hypothetically.
Not really, no. But what did he just bring up there? He said, stop trying to get these high energy densities from regular material. You need to use plasma, is what he's saying right here. He's going, you need to use plasma. I'm going to skip a little bit ahead here.
What? Electromagnetic energy flux. So your S factor, your S max can be on the order of a C times epsilon 0, the electric field strength squared.
Okay.
Right there, you can generate on your huge electromagnetic energy fluxes, speaking to energy densities on the order of 10 to the 25 joules per meter cube. That is breaking the Schwinger limit. That's actually breaking apart the very space-time fabric. That's what these particle, antiparticle production, that's what it means. You're breaking apart the very foundation.
He's talking about the dynamic Casimir effect here, chat. The particle antiparticle pairs. He's talking about the Schwinger effect right here as well, which we looked. When you look at Wikipedia and you look up the Schwinger effect, you find that it theoretically produces magnetic monopoles as well.
Of our quantum reality.
Yeah. So if I'm interpreting it correctly, then you're talking about high energy plasmas with basically waveforms applied to them, and that would
non-equilibrium plasmas. That's a key factor. Okay. Non-equilibrium. So we're talking about, you can call them cold plasmas, plasmas that do not obey the Maxwell-Boltzmann distribution of the electrons within them.
Okay.
That gives you an idea. How could these plasmas be created? Hint, hint. Attosecond, femtosecond lasers, among other things. There are other easier way to create these.
Attosecond, femtosecond, hints, hints, guys, lasers. Holy crap. How did I never watch this interview before? Guys, do you remember I've been saying that the secret is attosecond lasers? How many times have I said that they won the Nobel Prize in 2023 for attosecond lasers for a specific reason? Attosecond lasers can produce these plasmas. You get it now, chat? You get why this is important? You get why attosecond lasers are winning Nobel Prizes here? This is wild. So whoever asked, how do you produce it? The most powerful lasers on the planet can produce these. And this is also why I say the particle accelerators are all a scam. We don't need particle accelerators. Our lasers are already more powerful than our particle accelerators are. He's literally saying you can use attosecond lasers and break through the fabric of reality. Break through the fabric of reality with attosecond lasers. And we're sitting here talking about CERN and the Large Hadron Collider. Like, that thing's like obsolete, man. The Large Hadron Collider is obsolete. If they try to sell us a new collider, guys, yeah, we're saying hard no on that. Our lasers are we've already obsoleted these dumb colliders. Let me see, was that it?
But again, the accelerated vibration of non-equilibrium plasmas can generate these incredibly high energy densities. And once you have that capability, that speaks directly to general relativity, to Einstein's field equations. You see, remember the right-handed term, T sub mu nu?
Okay.
It's really an energy device.
Well, it gets a little bit deep there. So the key here is, though, you treat it like this napkin, right? This is the energy all around us, just being represented on a napkin, right? There's this energy, it's in the equilibrium state, and it's kind of vibrating all the time on the quantum level. It's vibrating out here on the quantum level. So we want to break through this. So what do? I don't really have a pencil or a pen handy. Oh yeah, I do. So what we want to do is we want to hit it with the right vibrational frequency, with the right high amount of energy. And we're just going to keep pounding. So imagine like I'm just pounding it like with my finger like this. Just boom, 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 right? And I'll just, let me see if I can do this. Hold it like this. And so we're just going to pound it. And then we're going to rip right through it, right? That's an analogy of what we are trying to accomplish, or what we're accomplishing with these plasmas. You reach your energy densities using the plasmas. You form the plasmas with your lasers. What is a plasma? Plasma is ripping electrons off of molecules, and then they become an ion. It's very simple to understand. I'll explain it to you guys right now. When you rip the electron from an element, you have a free electron, and now your element is positively ionized. It's positively ionized because you are missing that one negative electrical charge. So you've taken a negative electrical charge away from it. Now it's positively charged. You can do the opposite as well. You can take an atom or an element, and then you can add an additional electron to it. And now you have an extra electron, and now it's negatively ionized. This is the key, because you can create positive and negative energy clusters with this. You can ionize, you can polarize the charge of the vacuum of the space. It is static electricity. Exactly. It's static electricity. That's the exact same concept where I can do this. You ready? Is it going to work? I don't think it worked. But the idea was if you rub your feet or you rub your hair, you can pull electrons off of it, and then you get this static cling that forms. It's the same exact idea, ripping the electrons, and now you're creating what? An asymmetry. It's the same concept as a capacitor or even potentially a battery, is that you create this asymmetry where you have more negative charge over here than you have over here. And then what happens? Energy begins to flow. Electricity begins to flow. Okay. Actually, I think we watched everything we're going to watch tonight. Guys, I think that's going to be it for tonight. You know what? Let me see. Is there any other clips I want? Oh, one more clip I'm going to play from this. I'm going to snip these clips later, I think. The Think Plasma was great. I love that. He also asks him about cold fusion later on, which was really neat. And he's basically said, I think he says the same thing I was saying about cold fusion. He doesn't rip on Jack Sarfati, even though he could, but basically what he says is it's not about metamaterials. It's about plasma. Like, metamaterials are not going to get this done. We don't have the material science to make metamaterials that can do this yet. So if there is stuff that's like metal or whatever, like maybe it really is aliens or UFO, whatever. He's asked about Hal Poff here.
Yes, personality.
Well, Dr. Putov is a much better, he's a true gentleman. Dr. Putov is la creme de la creme, as they say. So, the man published in Physical Review letters.
Yeah.
Like, what can I say? I remember writing him an email saying that most likely if he would have not been associated with the, remember the remote viewing stuff, all that, they would have conferred a Nobel Prize on him for that paper alone.
That's entirely possible. And then
did you hear that? This is weird because this is the second source I've heard that exact quote from. The exact thing. So first of all, there's somewhere else in this, it might have been right before this, that Sal says that Putov replied to him and liked his idea about the plasma and all this other stuff. And that's what got to this conversation where then Sal says that Putov should have won a Nobel Prize. He's right. Hal Poff shouldn't have won a Nobel Prize for his vacuum engineering, or his polarizable vacuum, his metric engineering, which is basically engineering space-time itself. But he didn't win one because of the stigma of the remote viewing stuff that he did in like the 70s. That's the only reason why Hal Poff did not win a Nobel Prize, and he deserves one. This is crazy. Because I was going to ask him about Hal Poff, and then I realized he was asked last year. I couldn't believe it. There it is.
Your work goes to the Superforce. I think maybe it was Todd Desiato, someone else. When they read your paper, they'd said this is tied to Hal Poff's work with quantum gravity, right? Polarizable vacuum.
Dr. Poff, when he saw the Superforce idea, he saw the Theories of Everything podcast. He immediately said, "Wow, this is a great idea. This makes so much sense." And I haven't heard from him since, but I mean, to receive such accolades from the man, I really regard him as one of the greatest in the field.
Yeah,
especially in the field of field propulsion. Anyway.
Wow. Guys, like I was reeling today after watching this. Like, it has been a day, chat. Watching that when I went to go get dinner and talking to AARO today, and I'm sitting here going, holy shit. We figured it out. We figured it out. Hal Poff, Eric Davis, Salvatore Pais. We're talking about all the guys, all the engineers that know about this stuff and about the science. And they know each other. Like, they're aware of each other's existence. Like, Sal said that Hal Poff saw his Theories of Everything interview from a couple years ago, and he glazed them and said, "You did a great job. Incredible." Right? Wow. And people looked at Sal's work and they realized it's connected to Hal Poff. That's exactly what I did. I'd never seen this interview before. I looked at Salvatore Pais' papers and read his papers, and I went to the references and I found Hal Poff and said, "Oh, I should read this guy." And I went, holy shit, this guy knows it all. That's how I found out. I'm on live stream talking about this several months back. Sophia, wow, thank you very much for that donation. How do they make attosecond? It's ATTO, attosecond. Attosecond has to do with the interval of time. It's an extremely fast pulse of a laser. They're not drawing energy from the lightning. Basically, laser itself, you have to understand what the term laser stands for. So laser is light. Oh God, I always forget the acronym. Light amplification by stimulated emission of radiation. So usually when they make a laser, what they're doing is they're shooting an electromagnetic wave into a box that has gas in it. There's some gas in here. And then you have the laser will stimulate the gas, and then you basically make like a cone where it can only shoot out through one spot. And you can manipulate and you can make sure that you only shoot one specific wavelength. And this is the reason why the lasers are a specific color. You may ask, why is the laser red or blue or green? It's because it's shooting one wavelength related to the frequency that it's sending out, as opposed to white light, which is multiple. If it's just one specific wavelength, then it's one specific color. And so the secret here is, how fast can you shoot a pulse of light? How fast? The faster you can shoot the pulse of light, the more energy you can produce. So how fast is an attosecond laser? Great question. I think it's 10 to the minus 15 or 10 to the minus 18. Let me double check. 10 to the minus 18. So let me go to that. Where is it? Here you go. Attosecond laser. 10 to the minus 18. Look how many zeros. That means 18 zeros. That's one over 1 with 18 zeros of 1 second. So extremely fast. I think pico or pentosecond or whatever is like 10 to the minus 15. So these things are getting, and the faster this gets, the more over here, the more powerful the laser becomes. So basically, the faster these things are going, the more powerful they are. Pretty impressive. Oh yeah, I want to make a laser. I want an attosecond laser. I want a negative energy laser, and I want a Jeeves, a little ball of plasma that just follows me around with an AI in it and says, "Ashton, you did good work today." Just, picks me up when I'm down. Maybe is like a calculator. It can do some math. Hey, Jeeves, what is 3 times 57? And then it'd be like, I don't know, 181 or something like that. Is that right? 171, something like that. Whatever. Okay. So attosecond laser. There you go, guys. So what did we learn today? AARO might be a little bit incompetent, but I don't think they're malicious. I don't get the feeling that the AARO is a disinformation campaign. I just get the feeling like they have a very high bar because they're looking for smoking gun. Stories are not going to get it done to the AARO. Videos of lights in the sky are not going to get it done for the AARO. They need something that's undeniable. And the MH370 videos could be that if we can authenticate them. I'm guessing and I'm speculating that the outcome of the AARO case in the MH370 is going to be that it's undetermined, that they don't know what it is, that they were unable to verify the videos or to debunk the videos or whatever. Which, to be honest with you, that would be a win. That would be a big win. Most of these cases are getting debunked by AARO. For if our case can withstand debunking by AARO, then that's a huge, huge win. Huge win, guys. And then we took a look at warp drives, Eric Davis. We realized that the secret to achieving the energy densities that are required are plasma, specifically cold plasma, non-equilibrium plasma, plasma that does not adhere to the Maxwell-Boltzmann distribution. Strongly suggest, if you guys are interested in more, that you Google some of the terms that I talked about, learn about them, ask Grok about them. Grok will explain them to you. The most important part is that we teach ourselves the science. This is what I told the AARO Lieutenant Colonel, is that I do what I do because the only way people can understand this stuff to be real is if they understand the science behind it themselves. When they understand it, the science behind themselves, then they can understand that we can produce a warp drive, make a wormhole, produce free energy, etc. The last thing I'll say, going back to the cold plasma, how do you produce the cold plasma? One of the ways that I read, I actually made a whole post about the cold plasma. You know what? I think we'll probably save the cold plasma and the cold electricity stuff for Friday. I did a cool thing about cold plasma. So on Friday, we'll talk about how do you make the cold plasma. Spoiler alert, it seems like one of the ways you do it is manipulating quantum tunneling. You apply a very powerful voltage, which is work, again, pushing a boulder, and you force it to go through a barrier. And if you do that, you might be able to produce a non-thermal effect, an effect that produces no heat. I think we're going to figure out how to make plasma, cold plasma, very soon, guys. This is exciting. We're learning how to build EVOs in real time. In just 1 year, look at how far we've come. I don't even recognize myself when I watch myself in those interviews anymore. It's just mind-blowing, guys. So it's literally just a matter of time before I'm doing live streams in a workshop and we're just building shit. We're getting to that point. And I'm not rushing it or anything like that. There's no need to rush it. I want to be 100% confident on the theory before we even get to that point. But it's coming. It's coming, guys. Okay, everybody. Love you, MH370X. Hope you guys have a great night. I think we're going to play us out with a different song than we normally do. We're going to do the Sibber song in honor of the AARO. AARO, guys. This one's up for you, AARO. Guys, find those satellite videos, AARO. Find that full motion satellite video. It's S. Beers, Sentinel of the Night. Peace, everybody.
Infrared eyes, scanning the black, tracking the heat, never turning back. Control 22, a covert gaze. Control 33, in the cosmic maze. Controls in the mix, secrets untold. Silent watchers, brave and bold. In the shadows, they silently glide, protecting our interest, far and wide. As Beers, sentinel of the night, watching over with infrared sight, alerting us to threats afar, guiding our defenses like a guiding star. In the silence of space, they keep their post, shields unseen yet feared the most. With precision and speed, they warn of danger, keeping us safe from the missile's anger. As Beers, sentinel of the night, watching over with infrared sight, alerting us to threats afar, guiding our defenses like a guiding star. Controls in the mix, secrets untold, silent watchers, brave and bold. In the shadows, they silently glide, protecting our interest, far and wide. As Beers, sentinel of the night, watching over with infrared sight, alerting us to threats afar, guiding our defenses like a guiding star. As Beers, sentinel of the night, watching over with infrared sight, alerting us to threats.